Hello again and welcome to this Elseworld Steel Saviour video log. A different Dezaras for a different universe. Now, before I get into the meat and two veg of the episode, meat and potatoes, sorry. I'm not cutting that. Before I get into the meat and potatoes of the episode, I'm fucking up my lines so bad here. Hello YouTube, welcome to this Elseworld Steel Saviour video log. Before we get into the episode, I want to go back to a bit before that, when and why this came about. So I started Dark Saviour. Season 1 went by fine, and Dezaras Flogo, a Reluctant Alliance, and went well. And as I was planning Season 2 of Dark Saviour, I received an email from someone, a YouTube comment. A guy called Magnus. I haven't heard from him in a long time, but he is in part responsible for the Steel Saviour. So, if you're out there, Mag, say hi. Basically, he had his characters and stuff, and he played on the US server. And at this time, I was only a EU server. And we talked, and he was a fan of the series, and it kind of got to this thing where there was brief talk about maybe doing something together, but it never really went anywhere because he left the game. I don't know if he's still in the game now or not. Like I said, I haven't heard from him in a while. But there was brief talk about doing something together, and I realised that if I was to create Dezaras on the US server, it would mean recreating that Taylor and Betty and all the other characters, this ever-expanding cast that I've got on the EU servers. Didn't really want to do that. So I decided, as far as the US server goes, let's start from scratch. Let's treat this like a multiverse, because this is where my first multiverse thing came in. Apart from the Green Lantern Dezaras, but that was... This is where the first idea of establishing like a cinematic multiverse came into play. Was, let's do a different Dezaras for the US server. And he'll be different, and he won't be adopted. He'll have a different supporting cast, and he'll do different missions. He'll have a different mentor. He'll live in Metropolis instead of Gotham. He'll be Superman mentor. And that's where it came from. That's where the Steel Saviour Dezaras was born. And so I'm just reminiscing now. I miss Magnus. I want Magnus to come back. I think he's playing Star Wars, but on the US servers again. I'm not US on the Star Wars Old Republic game. But that's where it came from. That's where the Steel Saviour came from. And I kind of at that time treated each server as a multiverse thing. But it was like EU server was one universe, US server was another. But like I said, there are different versions of Dezaras on the same server. But yeah, I work around that. So that started, and so I started writing the script, and I started recording footage. And probably the last piece of footage I recorded, because he helped me as well, Magnus helped me with my settings for OBS. All the pixelation and shit was dropped. But Steel Saviour, the Brainiac ship escape, was probably the last piece of footage I recorded before I implemented the recording and capturing settings that Magnus suggested to me. So again, thank you for that. You helped me create this multiverse, you helped me create a new Dezaras, and you helped me show better picture. You improved my product visually as well. And I'll always be grateful for that. So yeah, the Steel Saviour episode I actually finished before I had finished an episode of Dark Saviour. Dark Saviour was weird, Season 2. I'm trying to go linear now, but last year I started with the Kugelman episode. I finished that before I finished 1, 2, 3, and 5. And it kind of set me back a bit. This year I'm focusing on episode 1 now. and the Cougarman pilot, and then I'll go into episode 2. I mean, I was excited to do the Cougarman episode, so I kind of went a bit weird with it, but yeah, Steel Saviour was done and dusted before Dark Saviour launched. You probably know why I left it till the end to launch it, and that is because of Stun Shock. And I just want to clear up a bit of confusion now, because Dark Saviour Season 5 ends, Season 2 ends with Dezaras running off with Stun Shock, and then Steel Saviour, all of a sudden their friend and their best mate. Different Dezaras, different Stun Shock, doesn't play in to the Dark Saviour universe. Mirrors it slightly, that's all I'll say. But it's different Dezaras, different Stun Shock. So, let's get into the episode now, because I've talked bollocks for 6 minutes now. So we start off with it, and here's another point as well. Couple of parallels in if you compare Steel Saviour with the Dark Saviour pilot. On Steel Saviour, the ship escape is shown in its entirety, with the whole fighting the Brainiacs in Metropolis and all that stuff shown in clips, just a montage. Dark Saviour, the ship escape, was shown as a dream sequence, a montage clips, not in its entirety. But the whole pilot episode focused on shutting down the Brainiac communication and shit like that. A little bit of a different thing there, I flicked it over, but that was more of an editorial decision. So yeah, a bit of a difference there. One thing shown in its entirety, one other thing's clipped, and then I flipped it for the other way. Stun Shock with blue hair, might want it Stun Shock with blue hair. Just to show a further difference, Dezaras in this isn't adopted, doesn't live with his mum anymore, but he was raised by his birth mother. He has a brother who isn't a gender swap version of Betty. Hanging around with Stun Shock. How did that happen? We'll find out briefly how that happened in Steel Saviour 2. It's similar to the Dark Saviour version, but with less bumps in the road, so to speak. Obviously, if Dezaras hasn't been adopted, then he doesn't know Dad Taylor, or Theodore Taylor, or Betty. Therefore, Betty wouldn't have been shot. So there's that. And I really wanted it with this first trilogy that I've got planned to serve as. If his Superman mentor, I wanted him to be more of a Superman type character, not rip off Superman. I want him to be a different Dezaras. I want him to focus more on the Superman mentored missions, like the Supergirl stuff, or Star Labs, which will be Steel Saviour 2. And just the whole thing about this was changing his attitude and his personality. It wasn't just about him not being adopted. It wasn't just about him living in a different city or wearing a different costume. A little Easter egg. He wears the new Genesis outfit. Top chest and legs anyway, and the belt, I think, for the shoulder. Dark Saviour Foundation for Season 2 premiere. When Dark Saviour version of Dezaras says, I can never see myself wearing something like your outfit, to Terrania, who was wearing the new Genesis chest and legs. Yeah, I did that. And I think that was a reaction from Steel Saviour when I realised, oh yeah, I do actually wear the same thing. So, that doesn't mean if there's a Steel Saviour Terrania, she wears the Battle Mage. No. But, yeah, different. The whole thing was a different personality. If you noticed in Steel Saviour, he doesn't say bitch once. Not once. He never says, I'm gonna kick your ass. He's never like, bitch. There's no fast mouth, there's no cursing or anything like that from the Steel Saviour. The best way I can sum it up is, in Dezaras and Flowgirl, Reluctant Alliance, Dad says something about Dezaras and his bitches and bitches comments. Still Saviour Dezaras has no bitches and bitches comments. That's the best way I can put it. Now there is a reason why the Steel Saviour doesn't swear or curse or has a generally more positive attitude or doesn't get as angry, and it's not just because of his upbringing, but I'm not going there yet. You will find out in good time. So the stunt, the Meta Wing, fighting the things, Lexical guy, rescuing Supergirl, all pretty straightforward. It was a pretty straightforward introductory piece, I think. The main problem I had was the Dr. Psycho, the initial Dr. Psycho fight, where you have to find him, the hide and seek part. Takes me ages every time. So I had to look a book. I had to figure out something to do. So I thought I'd have Stun Shark bring up the subject of what are you having for dinner, and a bit of an amusing little exchange between them, which I feel puts in there because one thing I didn't want Steel Saviour to be was boring. So I figured throw in some of the humour in there, but it's clean humour. I can do clean humour. So it was more of a light-hearted comedic exchange. The whole thing was more light-hearted. And I think it worked. I think it does show a big difference between the Dark Saviour and the Steel Saviour. Will they ever meet? I hope so. Assuming the servers stay up, they will meet at some point. But yeah, that was one of the things I wanted to do, just to differentiate it a bit. It wasn't just about the mentor, the city, the costume, the upbringing. It was about the personality as well. Music was key as well. Now, there's one thing I've noticed about the Hans Zimmer scores with Man of Steel and with the Dark Knight trilogy, because I'm starting to use that a bit more. And the thing with the Zimmer scores is, if you watch them within the films, it's really hard to tell them apart. When you watch the Batman Begins or Dark Knight Rising, when I watch it, all I hear music-wise is that's all I hear. And it's the same with Man of Steel. If I watch that, the first time, I mean, once you listen to it separately, it's fine. But the first time I watched Man of Steel, and it was all just doo-doo, doo-doo, doo-doo. Best way I feel to listen to a Hans Zimmer score is to listen to it without the film there. You really get a sense of what the music's about, and I've done that. And some of the Dark Knight and the trilogy music is fucking spot on. And the Man of Steel music, you watch that, you listen to that without Man of Steel there, without the visuals or any of the other noise. Some bloody good music there. And yeah, once you've heard the music without the film, then when you go back and watch the film, it all makes a lot more sense and it makes it more impactful, I think. It's just that initial viewing of it. And so I knew when I created this, Steel Saviour, that I wasn't going to use John Williams' score. Like when I created Dark Saviour, I wasn't going to use the Danny Elfman score from the '89 Batman film. And so I went with the Arkham themes for that because I felt, it's a Batman score, but it's not as well known as the Elfman score. And so I went with Man of Steel because it's not as well known as the John Williams score. So yeah, that's why I went with the Steel Saviour music, with the Man of Steel music for Steel Saviour. Kind of fits in tonally as well with the whole, in terms of establishing the two universes, the two Earths, and if they come together and if the characters come together, there's difference in the score, but not that different. There's similarities as well, and that's kind of what I went for with that. Now the ending, the Stun Shock ending, when he goes and investigates the Metal Wing. And he says someone from Dezaras' family has been here before. Burn Unit, Mike Alger, he actually thought it was a multiversal version of Dezaras. Which, considering I've just gone from Dark Saviour to Skill Saviour and I've established the multiverse, he thought it might have been a multiversal Dezaras. Good theory, but wrong. No, it's not a multiversal Dezaras. It is someone from that Earth. It is someone from Dezaras' family. That's all I'm saying. And I was going to say something else, but I forgot now because I was on that. I don't know. I've been going for over 15 minutes now, so I'm probably going to wrap it up there. But I just wanted to talk about a few things. This, to me, felt disjointed when I was recording it. We'll see how it goes, because I feel it's important to highlight the parallels between Dark Saviour and Still Saviour in terms of the tones and the characters and stuff. So there's bound to be comparisons in places. And yeah, Still Saviour 2 will launch after the end of Dark Saviour Season 3. And again, that is because of a certain element that I haven't introduced into Dark Saviour yet. There is another element in Still Saviour 2 that won't be introduced into Dark Saviour for a while, but it's not as big an element. So, yeah, I will keep you informed. I will be uploading Dark Saviour Season 3 soon. It seems to get earlier in the year. Season 1 launched in October, Season 2 launched in June, July, I think. Season 3 of Dark Saviour, I'm hoping for a March launch. Hopefully. Which means it may all be wrapped up by around August. But I've got 2 series to do this year. And then I've got Still Saviour 2, and then I've got Green for Salvation, the Green Lantern Dezaras story. So there's a lot of stuff coming this year, but hopefully all within a decent amount of time. So, nearly 18 minutes. I've been going on long enough about this. I am going to stop there. More Still Saviour coming this year, after Dark Saviour. There's more of that coming this year, and there's Cougar Man coming this year, and there's basically a lot of stuff coming this year. So, I've been Dezaras Prime, and you shall see me next time.